Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you know, this is where we interview people that are freaking crushing it in this business and of course in their lives as well. And this is a real treat for me today because the gentleman we're interviewing today is actually a friend of mine. And, but this is the show where we show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success in their business. As always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for our Warrior Mentorship program on the call, Mark Nagy. Mark, what's up, brother? What's got you excited?
Well, just as a reminder for the listeners, I'm always excited about these calls because we actually get to hear from students that are just regular people that are changing their lives. So I tell people, pay attention to these ones, but especially today, since we're going to dig deep into some mindset stuff, and that's always got me tingling excited.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So my guest today, again, is a friend. His name is Pasha Esfandairy. And Pasha is just a very, very cool guy. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be on here. Thanks for getting me on.
Absolutely. So, to give us a little background on you, if you would, that's kind of how we start these things. So if you wouldn't mind just, talking a little bit about your journey and who you are and where you came from and what you love, and just take it anywhere you want to take it, brother.
I always get a little funny asking these questions, but yeah, let me start off. I definitely feel when I reevaluate my life that I've had a different path than most. I really didn't go to college after high school. I was almost a high school dropout. Went to college for a semester, dropped out. I just was searching for my path, and I ended up falling into playing poker professionally. So I played poker professionally for about 5 years, and that was really fun as a kid. I mean, being 21. Traveling the world and playing poker professionally was awesome. When I was about 25, 26, I really understood that this lifestyle wasn't for me. I've always wanted to get into real estate. I knew it was my passion and my dream. And so what I did is I ended up doing an internship for free. I met somebody, I did an internship. I did it for 3 months. I just shadowed this man, and he's the best. He's like my uncle to this day. And he taught me how to flip homes. And so I did that in LA. I went back to Vegas where I was living, and I flipped my first mobile home about 10 years ago. Made all the mistakes you could freaking think about. I didn't renovate the right things and whatnot, but I still made a little bit of money. And man, Rob, that's where I got my itch. And I just was all in, head first, into as many homes as I could flip.
Well, let me interrupt for 1 second. I forgot to mention on your bio. So Pasha owns 300, excuse me. Pasha owns 300 doors, multifamily doors himself. Doesn't have any partners or syndication or anything like that. And another 80 under contract. I think you're thinking about maybe syndicating here in a bit, but that's all been on your own. So I forgot to give you that accolade, but please continue. Right. So you were flipping houses. Where'd you go from there?
Flipping houses. Then my wife wanted to move to LA to pursue her acting career at the time. So we moved to LA, and I quickly realized that I'm just a really small fish in a much bigger ocean here. And then I said, okay, well, there's less competition? Where can I make more of a margin? And I started getting into development, and that worked out really well for me. Obviously, all the pain and mistakes that I made there too. And then I want to say about almost 2.5, 3 years ago, I was like, I really need to get into multifamily. And one thing about me is I'm always about who can I seek out to give me the best education. I lived that my whole life, just like while I'll intern my time. I'll still do it now if I need to. And then I ended up stumbling onto, from a recommendation from a friend, a mutual friend, to your program. And that's where I learned everything. I said, oh my God, I could do this. I love this. And I want to say for about the next year, I just started learning about it, kept my development projects going. And I was like, you know what, it's time. COVID happened, learned all the lessons. I said, you know what, it's time to get into this. Let me accelerate what I really want to be doing. And I just hit the ground running. I mean, I made a full commitment this year, and yeah, we have 300 already locked down, and I have another 80 in contract already.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question, because I know you've got a beautiful bride. She's a sweetheart. And what have you had to sacrifice, if anything, maybe nothing, but what have you had to sacrifice for this success?
You gave me chills as you asked that, because, if you meet me now, I'm a very outgoing, fun guy, or I hope at least,
Mhm.
but what a lot of people don't see is that the 3 days in a row that I stayed up playing poker and flipping homes back in Vegas, the part that my wife supported us completely. I still have chills talking about it. There was a good 6, 8 period that I never spent a dollar. I just put it back into everything that I was doing. And someone my age was 38. I mean, these are prime times to go out and enjoy. That's a lot of what a lot of people did not see. They just see what they see now, and they're like, oh, you have such a great life. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see the 3 days in a row where I went to poker, then the real estate, and I wouldn't sleep because I was so committed to my vision completely.
Yeah. And money as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what do you think, Pasha, is one of the most like worthwhile investments that you have made? It could be time, it could be people, it could be knowledge.
My wife. No, no, for sure. My wife. I mean, my wife is my everything. She's utterly amazing, but there's so much to say. But I will say the number one thing that I feel very blessed for in my life is that, when I was 26, 25, I wanted to get out of poker and I wanted to get into my future, which is real estate and, building a business for myself. I joined an emotional intelligence course and I just said, oh my gosh, this is unlocking so much of me. And I like to look at my life on a continuum of like 10-year blocks, right? And I said, hey, okay, in 10 years, I want to be up here. I'm okay with sacrificing 2 years of just continual education, emotional intelligence, personal development, Tony Robbins, just getting my mind right so that it's second nature to really accelerate my results. And I think that is my number one attribution to my success, is that my mindset, I've trained it. I made it, my personality.
That's probably why we aligned as well, because of course, that's what I live for. And I spent 20 years following Tony Robbins around the planet, and I've done, emotional IQ is just such a critical component of your ability to communicate and influence and everything else. And so, no, I love that.
Just to interject, and that's why I really loved the course so much, because for me, I really personally believe that the knowledge is all there, but you got to get your mindset right, and you really focused on mindset, where there was other course that doesn't, and it's just like, hey, this has got to be different, and the way you really nurture that's.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think are the best sort of people to align yourself with? Now, you've done this solo, which is very unusual, very impressive, actually, but very unusual, because this business typically is a team sport. And I think maybe you're leaning that direction now, because of course, you run out of money at some point, and and there's a lot of money out there looking for deals, and why limit yourself? But as you are built, I don't know if you have a team now or not, or if it's just been you. So maybe you can. You have a team. Okay, well, talk about that. So what sort of people have you aligned yourself with?
So I really aligned myself. So, and you're right. I was a lone wolf for a very long time when I was doing my developments, very much a lone wolf. I hired the contractors, I hired the engineers and whatnot. And this is my project. I'm doing it. And what I've really learned about multifamily, and really also just to back up a little bit, what I really learned during COVID was that the power of teams and the power of trainers and the power of people in your life to really accelerate your results. And what I, obviously know about myself is that I'm not the analytical type. So when I went into my first deal, I just said, hey, I underwrote this. I think I know what I'm doing. But then I went to somebody that I know has done it so many times. I said, can you just overlook my shoulder and help me out and just make sure I did it right? They ended up doing such a good job and giving me so much information. We just riffed on everything on our vision. I was like, hey, this is amazing. I'm going to give you a piece of this deal, because they did such a great job at overlooking on my shoulder. So, and then it's just grown since then, and really figuring out who you are in a business sense and aligning yourself with someone that can help come up with the weak spots that you may have.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me expand on that just one second. You know, you guys have heard me say it time and time again, but let me just reiterate it that, you know, if you can play to your strengths. So Pasha is a people person. He's a visionary. He's a, you know, that's his strength. And if you can play to your strengths and hire a line or partner for your weaknesses, success is inevitable, period. If everybody's playing to their strengths, you're like a freaking train on a track and you're not going to get derailed. So, you know, I can't stress that enough that, you know, that you align with people. And honestly, that's why the Warrior program is so fantastic, because, you know, as you may not even know this, Pasha, the Warriors now own over 45,000 doors. And I've only been, I've been teaching less than 4 years. So I'm just blown away by that by that number. And that's, you know, and most of them been done between Warriors. So it's just incredible. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in applying, text the word crush to 72345. And we don't take everybody. I'm just going to be candid about that, because right now at this point, I feel like a steward of it. And it's just incredible how it's grown. But if you want to apply, you know, you can check us out. We'll check you out. And that's just text crush to 72345.
Well, I actually want to jump back to the emotional intelligence part of the conversation, because so much on this show, we talk about who to build your team with and who you want to look for, but we don't talk much about how to do that, right? Because people, they don't understand that, like, logically you can look for these people, but to build relationships, people are going to remember not what you said, but how you made them feel, right? Which is a big part of building relationships. But Pasha, if you could you give us maybe like 1 or 2 tips, emotional intelligence of how to go about building relationships with people that the listeners could take and use?
Sure. I mean, the first thing is the easiest. Be authentic. Like, truly and honestly be authentic, right? I'm a pretty goofy dude. And I like to just address the elephant in the room right off the bat, because I feel like it really puts everybody at ease instantly. I also have the same belief along the same lines is I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to pronounce words funny. And if someone judges that or doesn't like it, well, then they don't have to be in my life, right? So wholeheartedly, number one thing is just be authentic, and then ask yourself the question, hey, do I like this person? Do I want to be around this person all the time? And can I give some genuine compliments? You know, and you have to mean it though, and you just can't fake it. I've really learned that if you do that and you're just completely authentic, then you build some fabulous relationships with people, and deep relationships. You know, there's people that I've talked to 3 years ago, and this just happened. It's at one of your events, Rod. One of your Warriors, Will Yoder. I ran into him 3 years later, and we just picked up because we had such a genuine, authentic conversation, which he's doing fabulous, by the way. He's doing amazing. And it just build that connection.
That's so funny. Will is a good guy. He's actually been to my compound here in Florida. That 2 friends align is just so interesting to me, because you know, it's funny how God, the universe, how it works and aligns people that vibrate at the same level. Yeah, he's definitely on his way with multifamily. I think he's on his first or second kid. Definitely had his first already. I don't know if he's on number 2, but super. He's a dentist. Super nice. Well, anyway,
Amazing.
Yeah, wonderful guy. So let me ask you this, Pasha. I'm really interested for my own purposes to hear your answer to this question. How do you define success?
Ooh, you know, it always brings back me to a memory when I was growing up. You know, I have to just say, I want to give the biggest thanks to my father. My father came to America from Iran, dead broke, like left everything behind for me and my brother to just make it here in America. And, you know, to do that for his kids is crazy. But I remember even then, I didn't process this information yet, but as a child, I remember saying, man, the definition of success for me is I want to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. That doesn't necessarily mean go buy whatever I want, but I don't want to think about money in the terms of that it's going to hold me back from living the life that I want. But as I've gotten older, I really realize the things that I'm most grateful for is my family and my chosen friends that are my family, and seeing the joy that I can bring to them. So It's a little combination of the capitalist in me is being able to do whatever I want, to be honest with you. And then, but also it's the love that I have in my life that is makes everything worthwhile.
Yeah. You just really resonated me with what you said, because my mom took, very brave. We immigrated when I was 6, and she brought us to the United States, strange country. We didn't speak English. My mom spoke a little English, but it just resonated with me what you said about your dad, because there's some real parallels there. So
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
And for people listening, like that's super important to think about. If you want to do an exercise, it's think about if someone were to deposit $100 million into your bank account just randomly, and you could have the freedom, you could send your kids to college, whatever. What would you want to do after that? Because that's the thing that's really going to drive you. It's not about just that first initial thing. It's about the second thing. For you, it's obviously family and those other things you mentioned, but just for people listening, think about if you had all the money, what would be next for you?
Yeah.
And it's just a good exercise to walk yourself through. But let's flip the script here for a second. Tell us about a extremely stressful situation that you've had in your business. And if you come across it again, how do you think you'll handle it this time around?
Or a failure, a seminar, whatever. And really what you got, excuse me, this damn COVID's still getting my lungs. Whatever you got from it.
Of course. Yeah. So I'll tell you one that it's kind of hitting home. Just recently, yesterday, found out some bad news on a project I've been in for about close to 4 years. I bought some land here in LA, and I want to entitle into 4 pieces, 4 parcels, and build on all of them. It's been a almost 4.5 year process. I've spent a few $100,000 on this deal already. And, just got the news quite literally yesterday. Not only am I being sued by a neighbor on a frivolous lawsuit for it, saying that I can't rechange my plans once failed. It's really crazy. But the specialty firm just said, hey, listen, there's no way to cut it. You can only build 1 home on here. So all that time and effort and money spent was really wrong. But I will tell you, I am always grateful for these lessons. And I don't mean that as just BS. People say that. I'm genuinely grateful because I do know in my life, I've just started my career, right? I'm still young, and I've got another 40 years of investing. And if I can learn this lesson for this amount of money right now, it could cost me millions upon millions later on. And so the biggest lesson for me was I had a partner at the time, and I let that partner choose the people we were working with for the entitlement process. And he has a different vision than I do on how we should hire somebody. And really what always resonates with me is team building, picking the right people, paying for, like there's, the old adage, you get what you pay for, which is in real estate, I believe to be really true. You just don't want to cut any corners. And had I not, this would have been a 2-year process. I would have had much better results, and I would have made a lot of money, but now I'm losing money on this deal.
Yeah, ouch. But, I loved, guys, I hope you heard what he just said, because there was a huge, if you don't get anything else out of this episode, if you just get that life is about meaning, and you choose the meaning you place. And this is in one day, he's come up with an empowering meaning for a negative event in his life, which is very unusual. Usually it takes, it took me a lot longer than that with my 50 million, but I'm sitting here thinking, I don't even think I could do it that fast on a quick failure. So really impressive, brother, because, you choose, it's fascinating. You come across people that have had what perceived to be horrific things happen in their lives, and they have a positive meaning that they placed on it. So really appreciate the way you just shared that and allowed the opportunity for us to expand on that dynamic, which is just because it's just so important.
May I just say one thing to that? I think that it kind of backtracks into our emotional intelligence. Really, to be able to process your feelings, because it sucked. Don't get me wrong, it hurt and it stings and it doesn't go away. When I heard, I was like, oh man, it really hurts. But what I really learned in emotional intelligence as well too is, hey, things are going to happen, but I'm going to process it. I'm not going to put it in the back of my mind. I'm not going to just ignore it. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to sit with the hurt, but I'm going to let it get out of my system. And then I'm going to say, okay, a new start. Let's go. What's the next thing? And I have a lot of things plates I'm juggling, it's, it's fine. It's just one thing.
In your world right now, what do you enjoy the most and what do you enjoy the least?
It's funny. My business coach, Gary, always asks me this question because he always sees me get into something because you get really excited about something. I know. I was like, well, I have ADD. I want to. I will say this. My number one thing that I'm enjoying is building. By the way, another person I met in your Warrior program, Monica Duhart, we're building low-income housing and we're developing low-income housing and going the light tech route. And our visions just aligned about what we want to do and to create a nonprofit around by empowerment and with education in our low-income communities, because we just don't believe in building just a community and just saying, here you go, right? There's so much more to that. So that is the thing that I get fired up on. Super.
Let me just put an exclamation mark on what you just said, guys. This is why we don't accept just anybody into our program, because I attract givers and I look for people that want to help other people. And, this is what I listen for when we're interviewing people for the program, because I want people that want to make the world a better place, want to help other people, change lives. And that's what we attract. And, power moves to those who serve, whether you believe in God or whatever you believe in. It's just the way it works, period. And so here's a great example of that dynamic right there. So, really appreciate that you allowing us to expand on that as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he said both sides, right? He said this deal to where it's not going the way you want to do, it's because you and your partner didn't have the same vision. And now you're talking about the positive side of when you do have a similar vision with somebody, how well it works out. And that's why so many people end up doing deals together as warriors together, whatever it may be.
Yeah, for sure. So, right. Talk about, well, let's, a lot of our listeners are people that haven't taken action yet. Okay. I mean, you're a doer, you've taken action. What would you tell someone that's listening that has been exploring this business, maybe caught in analysis paralysis? We get a lot of analytical people that listen and join our program. And they're the hardest people to convince to take action, because they have to check off every freaking box, and it's very seldom that you can see the whole road. You just have to move forward with some faith. But what would you tell someone that's thinking about this? What words of wisdom would you impart on them?
I would say, it's always do it now. Don't wait, obviously. I think there's a really good tool that you could do, especially for the analysis paralysis, is that you set up some really good benchmarks for yourself. And you say, hey, I have an agreement with myself. If these benchmarks get hit in a property, I'm going to go after it. I would also say, just have somebody overlook your shoulder, right? There is no excuse to, and especially in the Warrior program, there's so many people that are willing to help and just say, hey, will you just overlook this for me? Because I know that's what I really needed. I was like, I don't want to make a big mistake. But I just said, hey, I'm going to go after something. Once I find something, let me just ask somebody to overlook my shoulder.
Yeah.
And then once you do, go do it, because man, once you do, you get the itch, and it's just like, you're like, I wish I did this so much earlier. On almost every venture I've ever done, I always say, man, I wish I did this earlier.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great answer.
Well, I want to expand on that. I mean, let's say you could go back in time before the flipping, the multifamily, the development, all that stuff, but you have your current knowledge of today. How do you think you'd get started and do it differently?
Well, I would have,
if you would. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I always think about this answer. I really love the path that I did. I really love being where I'm at. Let me just say that. But if I would do it back again, I would obviously go into the commercial route first. And I often wonder, okay, given the resources that I had or where I was at, what would be the first step to get to where I need to be? I said, well, I would want education. I'd probably become a commercial broker. I'd learn how to underwrite. I'd learn how to find deals. And then I would learn how to piece them together. I would focus on the education and also focus on a way I can make money while educating myself to support myself and support my habits. And I probably would have done that had I started all over again.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah, guys, if there's ever an opportunity for you to fall into a business that that is a feeder or supports this multifamily business, like a commercial broker, like a property management. Some of the best, most successful people I know in the business started in property management, or asset management, or leasing, or whatever. No, I love it. All right, last question. Do you have a favorite quote or favorite piece of wisdom from a former mentor, or maybe someone that's no longer with us, or anything like that?
My favorite quote always has been, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it's about how many times you get up. I really feel like that's like symbolizes my life, on how many times I've gotten knocked down. I just keep getting up, and I'm like this quiet, persistent, I'm always going to get what I want in life. I will say, and one thing that I do try to look at is I try to look at my life at the end, working backwards. When I'm on my deathbed, I hope that doesn't sound morbid, but when I'm on my deathbed, what am I going to regret, or what am I going to really be happy about accomplishing? In this, you get to a certain point in your life where you want to give back. And so when I look back at my life, I say, how many people can I impact and help, but also be doing what I want to be doing with what I love. So I like to just fast forward and then work backwards always, because it usually gives you the right answer every time. Great answer.
Well, it's great to see you, brother.
I really appreciate
you coming on. I've been yelling at you to get on here and share some wisdom. So I really appreciate you coming on, and
yes.
hopefully the world will, where I can do well. I'm not hopefully. We're definitely going to have an event either by the end of this year or early next year, and I'll be great.
That'd be great. I really appreciate it, man. Honestly, I got my start in multifamily from you, and I love what I'm building, and now I'm heading into light tech and development, these big things, and you always start somewhere.
Beautiful. Really love it, man. Mark.
Yeah. Well, good seeing you, Pasha.
Good seeing you. Yep. Good meeting you. Thank you so much, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thanks. So one other quick thing. We encounter so many people that are frankly frustrated. They're looking in the mirror and they're frustrated that they haven't been able to escape the rat race. They haven't been able to build cash flow to the point where they're able to have financial and time freedom with their families. And maybe they see other people buying real estate and creating, incredible cash flow, and they think, well, it's just scary. Buying apartments is intimidating. And I get it. But see, that's why we created our Warrior Mentorship Program. They're our coaching students, and they've had extraordinary results. My students, I've been teaching about 5 years, and they own upwards of 140,000 units now that we know of, right? And we feel like it's just getting going. Now we're looking to grow this group and really take it to the next level. And honestly believe that the greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us right now with this current economic environment. Everything's going on sale. So we're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework, really like a blueprint or a map, literally step by step. And then they're able to leverage our systems and our incredible network to raise money and equity, to find deals and close those deals and build partnerships really nationwide. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more in our incredible network and take advantage of the unbelievable opportunities that are upon us, you can apply to my Warrior Mentorship Program by texting the word CRUSH to 72345, or you can go to mentorwithrod.com. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out and see if it's a fit. Now again, you can go to mentorwithrod.com or text the word CRUSH to 72345 to apply, and we will speak soon.